Hello students, today we are going to continue the first lesson of civics in which we were discussing the features of our Indian constitution, and in the sequence the next feature is the fundamental rights. So we first need to understand what are the fundamental rights. What does this mean? Fundamental rights are those rights which are given to us, that means the citizens of country, by the Indian constitution, no matter whoever the person is, no matter whatever caste he is or whatever religion he belongs to, everyone has equal access to those rights. Fine. So what are those rights? First one is right to equality. Right to equality says that we all are equal in front of law. That means if there is one law for one person, same law will be for the another person, whoever he or she is. Next is in the same right to equality says that no discrimination should be there based on caste, religion, color or any manner. That means we all are equal. Next is that every person has equal access to the public places. That means if we want to go to some park or somewhere which are the part of country, then we all have the right to go over there. Fine. And next is every person, every citizen of the country have equal access to employment. That means no one could stop anyone from being employed. Fine. Next right in the sequence is right to freedom. Now, right to freedom says that we all have the freedom of speech and expression, which means that whatever we think or whatever we have our views, we have the right to express them. We can easily express them by any method we wish to express. Fine. Next is that freedom to assemble peacefully in any place or any public place wherever we want to. That means to say that if we want to assemble in a group or if we want to do something like ceremonies we do, right, we all have the freedom to assemble in some places, but without arms. That means without arms means we should not contain some illegal armaments with us. Fine. Next is freedom to form associations and unions. That means if we want to form some unions, if we want to be come together and form some associations, then we have the freedom to do that. Next is freedom to move freely anywhere in the country. If we want to move anywhere in the country from one city to another or from one state to another, we are free to move. No one is going to stop us from doing such thing. That means we don't need any sort of permission for moving from one place to another in the particular country. Fine. Next is freedom to reside in any part of the country. That means if we are residing over here, then if we want to make a home or move in some other part of the country or in some other city or in some other states in the same country, that means in India only, then we don't need any permission for that. We are free to do that. Every citizen of the country are free to do that. Fine. Next is to freedom to practice any profession. That means whatever profession we feel like, that means if we feel to become, if we think that we can become a doctor, then we are free to adopt that profession. If we feel that we want to become a teacher, if we feel that we want to become a pharmacist, anything, whatever profession we want, we can adopt that profession according to our eligibility or according to our educational qualification. We are free to adopt those professions. No one is going to stop us. Next fundamental right is right against exploitation. Now, exploitation means doing something to others which should not be done forcefully to them. Fine. Now, as what does this right says? This right says that no one should exploit or no one should forcefully make others do some sort of labor. That if we take the example of beggar, no one should forcefully tell anyone to beg, or no one should employ anyone in case he or she does not want to be get employed in that particular work. Fine. Next is in the same, that means right to exploitation only says that we cannot employ the students or children, that means children below the age of 14 years. That means to say that small children should not be employed. They should not be asked to do the work. That doesn't mean that you are not going to work at your homes also. Fine. That means that no one is going to employ you outside your homes. Doing your home household work does not mean employment. Fine. So no one is going to employ the children below the age of 14 years. And next again in the sequence is that there should be no trafficking of human beings. That means kidnapping of human and selling them in some other places is known as trafficking. Fine. So this should be not done. That is prohibited or and punishable also. Fine. Next fundamental right is religious and cultural right. That means freedom of religion. Right to freedom of religion. So the right to freedom of religion says that we all have the right to preach or to have faith in any religion. Whatever religion we feel like, whatever religion or belief we want, we have the right to promote that particular religion, as well as we have the right to have faith in that particular religion. No one is going to question us and no one is going to ask us why we are promoting that particular religion or why we have faith in that particular religion. Next fundamental right is cultural and educational right. Now cultural and educational, we all could understand that easily, that we have the right. That means this right is particularly for the people who are less in number in our country, and they have the right to promote their particular culture and the education of their religion also. Fine. And they can maintain and they can bring up their own educational institutions also. So this particular right is for the people who are in lesser number, and if they want, they can promote their religion and their culture in the country. Next is the next and the most important right in the fundamental rights is the constitutional remedies. Now what does this mean? If this right was not there in our constitution, all the above rights which we have discussed right now would just be illogical, as well as it would have no sense. Why? Because of this right, because of the right to constitutional remedies only, we can move to the courts to ask for the justice and to ask for our rights, to get our right and to assess our rights. Fine. This particular right is given in the Constitution of India so that no one could be denied from their rights, or no one could overrule us or overrule these fundamental rights, and these rights are properly given to us by the government as well as the citizens of the country. That means me and you cannot deny anyone from these rights or cannot prohibit them from assessing these rights. Fine. So this particular right to constitutional remedies helps us to move towards the court if we are not given our fundamental rights. Fine. So these were the fundamental rights, which is the most important feature of our Indian Constitution, and in next class we are going to discuss the fundamental duties, which is again the second side of the same coin of fundamental rights. That means fundamental rights and fundamental duties are the two sides of the same coin. Fine. So in next class we are going to discuss that. Till then, revise all the fundamental rights and come prepared for the next class. Thank you, students.